Hello, and welcome to the first Letters from the Ideaverse. It's an experiment. It's a video talking about the newsletter that we put out with Linking Your Thinking. It's going to go deeper in some areas of the newsletter, and yet in other areas, you will only find it in the newsletter. So let's give this a go. I'm going to start from the top. This is about idea emergence, Zettelkasten, note shapeability, some really interesting 2022 PKM Superpower results as well. So let's dive into it. The first thing is, do you fully grasp the power of this thing called idea emergence? It underpins all of our greatest ideas. How, from the nothingness, we say, hey, that means something to us. Let me make note of that. Let me externalize it on a piece of paper, on a napkin, on a digital note. And over time, if I can work with it the right way, it can start interacting with other ideas. And through that process, if we're looking at this definition, those interactions, through that, all those interactions, the colliding, the combination of things, something can emerge that is more than the sum of their parts. This is both valuable and personally meaningful. So I encourage you to read through Idea Emergence and try to grok it better than you currently do. Another way to look at it is that there are existing things out there in the world. With idea emergence, what we want to do is connect those existing things over time with new things, experiences, ideas, conversations through the lens of you. And that's where you will find that some of your greatest ideas are emerged from. Now, that might sound really theoretical, so let's ground it in something practical. So, no matter where you are on your knowledge journey, there are 3 levels where you can take next actions. The first is, if you're just starting out, just link ideas together. All these technical things on how ideas emerge, we can cover that later. The first thing that you have to do, though, are the fundamentals. Link ideas together. In the world of digital notes, that means you take one note and you link it to another note. How can you continue? Well, now you want to create a few placeholder notes. Let's get really, really meta here and make a note called idea emergence. Now, whenever it comes up in conversations, we can link a new digital note, maybe on how Kate Bush's song that was featured in Stranger Things is a form of idea emergence, and we can make a note about that song running up that hill, and we can link it to idea emergence with a little note like that. Then over time, this placeholder note, idea emergence, starts to grow. And then one day, how can you excel at idea emergence? You dust it off and you say to it, hey there, note, today is your day, my friend. And then you can start mapping your ideas within that note. That goes beyond the scope of a simple newsletter, but that is the process. When you do it, beautiful thought collisions happen, and nothing shows the nature of collisions in idea emergence better than this simulation of how the moon may have formed. So definitely make sure you click on that from the newsletter. Should I open it up right now? I might. No, I'll leave that to you. Now, we need a much needed and truer history of Zettelkasten, and thankfully, Chris Aldrich is the person to provide us that. Stop reading all those other Zettelkasten articles until you have a broader understanding of the historical perspective of where all this came from. I can't tell you how much I learned. There was more I didn't know than I did know and it wasn't even close. So thank you, Chris. You definitely need to read the 2 definitions of Zettelkasten. Spoiler alert, it wasn't started with Luhmann, and he hasn't been the only prolific writer in human history, or the only prolific writer in human history that's used a Zettelkasten. So keep that in mind. There are a lot of prolific people out there. You don't need to have a Zettelkasten linked system that looks exactly like Luhmann's. Maybe you want to do that, but you don't need to. There are so many different ways to be linking your thinking effectively, okay? And I do have a takeaway here, because even throughout all that history and many of the conversations that I see in different pockets of the online arena, it still is amazing how little we are grasping of the implication of a digital note. Why? Because digital notes are the most shapeable objects ever, and you are the person doing the shaping. This is a massive, massive departure from reading something from, let's say, Seneca and writing it on an index card and saying, that's my quote from Seneca, and it is permanent and it is not changing. Yeah, sure, you'll still have a few of those notes, but what we need to recognize is the power of the shapeability of a note, because now it becomes a two-way ongoing conversation, and you're using this digital note as a next generation thinking tool. This isn't note making. It's not note taking. It is note making. So read about this, and I invite you to think about the shapeability of digital notes and what that might mean for you. From my perspective, it is the next great frontier in notes. And those who become comfortable with shapeability are going to find that they have so many opportunities in front of them, it might boggle their mind. So here we are. This is the first attempt at a letter from the Ideaverse externalized into a complementary article and a complementary video, which you are watching right here. Now let's end this with the final section, which are the top ranked PKM Superpowers of 2022. So now, from a list of 60 superpowers, I asked people I trust and respect within the Linking Your Thinking community, and we whittled it down to a top 11 superpowers that we want with our knowledge efforts. Then I opened it up to the newsletter, and that was 1 week ago roughly. Around 600 votes have come in from various newsletter subscribers. Now we have the results. So the first part of the results are the top 3 superpowers, PKM superpowers for 2022. Let's do this in order. The number 1 superpower from the newsletter is to not just consume more stuff, but to actually get better at developing the knowledge I already have. And number 2, to think better, critically, creatively, connectively, and generatively. And number 3, stop losing track of my ideas and feeling overwhelmed with all the information I have to deal with. So, if you are watching this video, this will likely resonate with you, because these are the people who have gathered here to learn more about knowledge, how we can be better at working with it. And these are the top 3 superpowers from the email newsletter. Now, let's compare this to the Linking Your Thinking Workshop 9 students who recently answered this question, because they had a different top 3. Their top 3 PKM superpowers were to think better. Okay, we had that before, but now it's number 1. And then we have at number 2, have a system that makes it easy to consistently read, write, share, and teach. So it's having a system. That's really important for people who decide to jump into the workshop. And then at number 3, learn anything better. That means faster, more efficiently, more deeply. So the big takeaway here is that these 2 areas scored higher for workshop participants. And that tells me that they're ready to prioritize learning better and having a system, building that custom knowledge management system. So as you feel that these are becoming bigger priorities, then it's a suggestion that maybe now is the right time for the workshop for you. Now we're going to try to run this superpowers survey annually, and I'm very excited to see what great superpowers will emerge in 2023. How will they be worded? How will they be phrased? What's going to resonate with us in the upcoming year? So that's exciting. Now, as far as the quick hits, those are newsletter only. So that's, if you want to subscribe, you can click on that and then subscribe to the newsletter here. Other than that, and also with the PS there. Some of the quick hits cover the recent Obsidian 1.0 launch and how it did on Product Hunt, and a book that I read in the 4th grade that has influenced me in profound ways, but I completely forgot about until, decades later. I think that's pretty wild. Anyways, I'm curious to get your thoughts on if this video is worth it, if me talking through a newsletter, going in more depth in some areas, but also not covering other areas exclusive to the newsletter. I'm curious if this is beneficial to you. Should I keep doing this, or is it just a waste of time? Let me know in the comments below. Also, like this video too. That's another indication that I should keep doing these videos. It takes extra effort to make a newsletter, to put it on a website and to make a video giving commentary around it. Is this something you'd like to see more of? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, stay connected.